Hello and welcome back. Um, this is the 10th video of our series of videos where we are configuring Palo Alto virtual appliance on Microsoft Azure platform using Microsoft Azure Load Balancer. In 10th video, we are going to create test VMs and enable VNet pairing along with the routing table so that we can test whether both of the firewalls are functional with high availability or not. So let's move back to our Azure portal. Go to main dashboard, click on resource groups. So in total, we'll be provisioning 2 VMs. So click on Palo RG test VM resource group. At the moment, it has only the VNet, which we have provisioned in the previous videos. In the marketplace search bar, type in virtual machine. Okay, Microsoft virtual machine, click create. Make sure once again resource group, subscription, everything is good. Give a virtual machine a name, Palo temp VM01 UK South. I don't need any failover because this is a test VM. I'll go with the standard security type. Image is Windows 11 Pro. That's good. Size, I'll go with the standard one. I'll give it a name, username and password. So the username is Palo admin and I'll set the complex password. Okay, so I don't want public inbound ports using the built-in NSGs because the similar process I'll be doing through the firewalls. So I don't want this machine to be accessible from outside. Disk is good. We'll go with the default ones. Networking is where we need to configure the VNet according to our requirement. We have already provisioned a VNet, Palo VNet test VM, and this is VM1. We have 2 subnets. So this is because this is first VM, so we'll assign VM1 subnet. Public IP address, I don't want on this VM. NICs, network security group, I don't want. Okay, delete NIC when VM is deleted. All right, that's good. So that's done. We'll go ahead and create plus review. Running final validation passed. Click create. So we are going to create 2 test virtual machines in total. The reason is with one virtual machine, yes, we can test inbound traffic, we can test outbound traffic, we can test north-south traffic. That's true. But we cannot test east-west traffic. We cannot test the traffic between 2 different virtual machines sitting in 2 different subnets. Let's assume one virtual machine is your web server and other virtual machine is your DB server or app server, and you want these machines to communicate to each other using a firewall so that you can apply filtering, you can apply IDS, IPS, WAF, all that kind of stuff. So you want your firewall to process all the traffic between all the virtual machines in your network, right? So to test that and to configure that, we need two virtual machines, right? So one virtual machine is provisioned already. Your deployment is complete. Create another VM. So this is going to be a test VM 2. Similarly, no, I'll select the same resource group, which is Palo RG test VM. Virtual machine name, sorry. So I'll give it a name, which is PALO temp VM02. All right, UK South, no infrastructure, failover, all good. I'll give it a username and password. Username will be Palo admin, password will be the complex one. All right, I don't want this to be accessed from outside, and disks are good. I'll go to networking, virtual network, VM1. Okay, in subnet, I'll select VM2 now. Okay, no network security group, all good. I'll go ahead, review plus create. Okay. Validation pass, so I'll create. While this virtual machine is being created, let's move back to our solution diagram. So these are the virtual machines that we are creating. Virtual machine network 01, virtual machine network 02. So both of these virtual machines are sitting in the same VNet but different subnets. So we'll enable VNet pairing between these virtual machines and the firewall VNet. So that what VNet pairing will do, it will enable the communication, but still we will need a routing table to tell this virtual machine where to send the traffic for the default gateway. So that is the next step. Plus, we will also verify that how these virtual machines communicate with each other. For example, the virtual machine sitting in network 1, how does it communicate with the network 2 virtual machine, and vice versa. So let's move back to our Azure portal. I hope virtual machine will be provisioned by now. Meanwhile, we'll go to resource group and create a routing table. Click create. The reason I'm creating all the test infrastructure in one resource group is because it will be easy to delete it tomorrow. Once we are done with our configurations and testing, we can just delete the whole resource group, and it will delete all the resources inside that. Click on in your Azure Marketplace, search for root table, click create. Okay, make sure resource group, location, everything is good. So we'll call it test VM-RT. RT is for routing table. Click create. Create. Deployment is in progress. Let's wait for deployment to be finished. Okay, deployment is finished. So what we'll do is now we will assign this routing table to two different subnets. So for example, if you go to routing table, go to subnet, right now there is no subnet. So we'll click on associate, select a virtual network, which is test VM, then select the subnet, which is VM1. Similarly, we will associate a VM2 subnet as well, VM2. So now both of these virtual machines will follow the routing table which we define here. So once that is done, go to routes, click add, and add a default route here. So what does it mean? It means that any traffic which is generated from these two test virtual machines should be sent to our next hop, which is our virtual appliance. In next hop type, select network virtual appliance, and in virtual appliance we need to add the IP address of our load balancer. So what does it do? It will show in diagram. Let me just put in the IP address first. So 172.16.200.10. So 10 is the virtual IP of our load balancer. So if you go back to our solution diagram, so what I'm telling these two virtual machines is use the routing table which has default route towards the virtual IP of the internal load balancer. So all the traffic that is being generated from these two virtual machines will be sent to this Azure load balancer, and this Azure load balancer will route that traffic to the firewalls, and then firewall will decide where to send that traffic based on firewall's own routing table. For example, if we browse yahoo.com from this virtual machine, it will be sent to our internal load balancer. A request will be forwarded to one of the firewall, and firewall will decide whether it's external traffic. So let's send it to internet using the Ethernet 1 IP address. If it is the destination is for the test VM2, it will send it to test VM2 using its own routing table. So that's how it will work. So now we have provisioned both the virtual machines, the routing table is also provisioned. So last step as per our plan is, if we go back to our plan, is to configure the VNet pairing, enable VNet pairing. So let's go back to our Azure portal. We'll go to one of the VNet. You can select any of the VNet. Let's see if I can find it here. Otherwise, I'll go to resource group. So VNet, this is my VNet resource group. In this resource group, I should be able to see firewall VNet. Okay, so this is my firewall VNet. Click on that VNet, go to pairings from the left side menu. Click on pairing and then click on add. So this is where we are going to enable a communication between our firewall VNet, FWV VNet, and temp VNet. I'll call it temp VNet. So give it a name which is easy to remember. It's a pairing link name. In a remote virtual network, give it another name, but this time it will be from temp VNet to FW VNet. All right, leave the settings default. In subscription, select the destination virtual network. So this is PALO VNet FW. So this is a firewall VNet. So my destination VNet will be a test machine VNet, right? So leave all the settings default and click add. So added virtual VNet pairing and it shows connected. So what does it mean? It means that now the communication between my temp VM's VNet and firewall VNet is in place. How can we verify that? One way is to log into a virtual machine and verify. That we'll do in next video. If you go back to your routing table, the only route table that we have, and if you go to effective routes in your routing table, select, let's say VM1. In this effective routes table, you can see that there is a virtual network VNet pairing in place. So it shows that all the three subnets of firewall, 172.16.200 trust, 192.168.200 that's untrust, and 10.10.200, that's our management subnet. So it shows state as active, so which means that communication is in place. So whenever we generate traffic from these VMs, we should be able to communicate with this with all these three subnets. So that's it for this video. In next video, we are going to configure inbound NAT and test RDP traffic from outside. We will also test outbound internet traffic. So in this part, we will create an inbound NAT policy for, and RDP is just an example. You can configure web traffic, port 443, port 80, FTP 21, whatever is your requirement. So in next video, we are going to test whether our firewalls are fully functional or not. So stay tuned. Let me know if you have any comments, and we'll see you in video number 11. Thank you.